In 62 AD, Nero summoned Seneca to the palace and made him an offer that would have made most men weep with relief. He told him the accusations against him were being dropped, that his exile was forgiven, that everything taken from him would be returned if he simply agreed to one thing. One quiet, private, harmless agreement that nobody outside that room would ever need to know about. Seneca sat with that offer for a long moment. The palace was silent. The most powerful man in the world was waiting. And then Seneca did something that changed the entire trajectory of his remaining years. Not because of what he said, because of what he refused to give. Something so specific, so quietly essential, that handing it over would have cost him more than everything Nero had already taken. What Seneca protected in that room is the foundation of this entire video. 5 things he believed no person should ever give away, regardless of who is asking, regardless of how sincerely they ask, and regardless of how much easier saying yes would have been. Stay until number 1, because that is the one he said he wished someone had told him 40 years before that moment in the palace. From the time you were a child, society brainwashed you to believe that giving is always good and withholding is always selfish. You were taught that the ultimate measure of a good man is how much blood he is willing to drain from his own veins the second someone asks for it. Generosity is a massive biological advantage when it comes from a place of genuine overflowing abundance. But there is a very dark, toxic version of giving that wears a fake mask of generosity. It is the kind of giving that feels perfectly right in the moment. It is the kind where the person asking genuinely needs your help. But the true devastating price of that transaction only reveals itself slowly over years of quiet repetition. You gradually erode your own soul until there is absolutely nothing left of the original man. Seneca had given from that empty place way too many times before that terrifying evening in the palace, and what he refused to give the emperor was exactly what he had finally learned to protect. Number 5. Your uninterrupted time. Time is the absolute only currency on earth that you can never earn back once you spend it. But deeply caring people treat their time like an infinite bank account. When someone you love asks for a piece of your afternoon, the request feels totally reasonable. Time is something you physically have, so you assume it is something you can easily share. You hand over 20 minutes here and an hour there. The small pieces feel completely manageable in the moment, but they quietly accumulate into a massive, crushing debt. One day you finally look up and realize the thousands of hours you spent fixing other people's emergencies have left absolutely zero time for the things required to build your own empire. Seneca wrote a warning to his own mind. He said, "Everything is alien to us, and only time is truly ours." He had spent enough years giving his schedule away to fully understand the brutal cost of a life without boundaries. Your time is not just a cheap resource. It is the actual physical material your entire life is constructed from. Handing it away to anyone who asks is not generosity. It is slowly handing your existence to the loudest person in the room. Number 4. Your honest opinion edited for comfort. You have practiced this toxic habit for so long that it no longer feels like a dirty compromise. It just feels like being a polite friend. But the ancient Stoics viewed this specific type of politeness as a massive betrayal. It is the terrible habit of softening the brutal truth until it no longer resembles reality. You politely agree with an incredibly bad decision just because disagreeing feels too uncomfortable. You validate a toxic choice, even when you can clearly see it will eventually destroy the person asking for your advice. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if any man can prove his thoughts or actions are wrong, he will happily change them. That massive level of growth only happens if the people standing around the emperor were actually willing to tell him the cold, hard truth. A weak world where everyone only tells people exactly what they want to hear is a world where absolutely nobody gets the tactical data required to survive. When you hand someone a comfortable fake agreement instead of your brutally honest perspective, you are absolutely not protecting them. You are leaving them totally blind and defenseless in the real world, just to protect your own comfort. The first 2 possessions are things most people give away externally. What comes next reaches significantly deeper into your psychology. Number 3 is the exact thing you have been surrendering for so long you forgot you ever owned it. Number 3. Your emotional equilibrium. There is a very rare type of dangerous man who walks into a chaotic room and leaves it feeling exactly as calm as when he entered. And then there is the far more common type of man. This is the man most deeply caring people have accidentally become. He walks out of every single difficult conversation carrying a heavy dark cloud that absolutely did not belong to him when he walked through the door. Other people's wild anxiety immediately becomes your anxiety. Other people's toxic frustration settles deep into your chest and burns there long after the conversation ends. Other people's unresolved trauma becomes the loud background noise of your own quiet evening. You do this because somewhere along the line you were tricked into believing that absorbing other people's pain is the ultimate proof that you actually care about them. Epictetus stated that men are absolutely not disturbed by the things that happen, but by their own opinions about those things. The toxic opinion that love requires emotional absorption is the most expensive lie you can possibly believe. Your emotional equilibrium is not a cold, bitter wall between you and your family. It is the solid concrete ground required to actually support them. When you absorb their chaos, you do not become more present for them. You simply become totally depleted. And a depleted, bleeding man has absolutely nothing of value left to offer anyone. Number 2, your self-respect. This is the ultimate possession that most good people negotiate away in tiny, invisible increments. You have been doing this since long before you were old enough to realize you were being robbed. Self-respect absolutely never announces itself loudly when it leaves your body. It vanishes quietly in the dark. It disappears in the tiny moments when you swallow your pride and accept treatment you know is beneath you, just because causing a scene feels like too much effort. It vanishes during the conversations where you physically make yourself smaller, just to avoid making an insecure person uncomfortable. It completely erodes over years of quietly adjusting your own personality to fit whatever the room seems to demand from you. Seneca wrote a direct military instruction. He said, "Reclaim yourself for yourself." He wrote that sentence carrying the heavy scars of a man who fully understood the lethal cost of losing your soul to serve someone else's comfort. Your self-respect is absolutely not a public park you owe anyone access to. It is the deep iron foundation your entire reality is built upon. When you let people chip away at that iron, everything you build on top of it becomes violently unstable. Number 1 is exactly what Seneca protected in that dark palace in 62 AD. Once you understand what he refused to hand over to the emperor, the rest of this entire philosophy locks into perfect place. Number 1, your right to define your own worth. This is the deepest psychological possession a human being carries, and it is the one thing average people surrender so slowly across so many tiny moments that they cannot even remember who they originally gave it to. Every single time you allow another human being's assessment of you to become your actual reality, you surrender the ultimate key to your mind. The Stoics considered this the most irreplaceable asset you will ever own. It is not your public reputation. It is not your bank account. It is the quiet, terrifying, unshakable knowledge of exactly who you are and what you are worth. It is a knowledge that absolutely never requires external clapping to remain true. Marcus Aurelius told his own mind to never value anything that forces you to break your word or lose your self-respect. The toxic people who constantly demand this from you do it in very quiet ways. They do it through passive-aggressive criticism. They do it through cold indifference. They do it through the subtle implication that your entire value is strictly conditional on their continued approval. They are demanding access to a sacred room inside your mind that absolutely nobody was ever supposed to enter but you. Seneca stood in the palace and violently protected that exact room. The tyrant standing across from him had the absolute power to make his life a living hell. Seneca knew the massive risk. He looked Nero in the eye and said no anyway. He did not do it out of blind arrogance. He did it because he had spent a lifetime bleeding enough to finally learn the ultimate truth. The exact second you hand another man the absolute power to define your worth, you give him a weapon you will spend decades trying to take back. And recovering your soul always begins with the exact same quiet refusal Seneca used in the palace. It is the absolute refusal to let any other human being's voice be louder than your own. That cold refusal is absolutely not selfish. It is the most honest and powerful thing you can ever do. A dangerous man who knows his exact worth never needs to steal validation from the crowd, and he absolutely never lets the crowd steal it from him. Seneca spent his entire life bleeding to learn the massive difference between what is worth sharing and what must be violently protected. If this video helped you draw that concrete line in your own life, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel to keep building your psychological armor every single week.